scared, and everything is turning upside down. But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. We've been together from the start. Tell you, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Welcome to A Course of Love. Yeah, yeah. We are one. Welcome to A Course of Love. Now let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose Him as ourselves. When you choose Him, you know you choose me too. Everyone becomes a part of you, and then you will know that love is who I am and who you are. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Oh yeah. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. We are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. We are one. Oh, we are one. You and I are one. Welcome to A Course of Love. This is Earl Purdy. Welcome to Facebook Live. Just remember, when you listen to A Course of Love, that you need not believe the ideas, you need not accept the ideas, you need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may find startling and hard to believe. And you're not being asked to take part in this gathering just to analyze. Remember, you and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Oh yeah. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. If you use the ideas, if you use these ideas, you will see that the ideas are true. The ideas will show you that they are true. The ideas in the course of love will show you that the ideas are true. And you are me. Welcome to A Course of Love, mighty companion. I'm glad that you and I are here right now so we can go very deep into our true identities and join our minds and our hearts. The emphasis that I want to put on this tonight, I feel real mellow tonight. And the emphasis that I want to put on it tonight is hearing it. There's a difference between reading A Course of Love and hearing it. I would much rather that you remembered one thing that was said from A Course of Love tonight than to worry about trying to remember everything. So I'm going to set the goal for myself of remembering at least one idea that I'm supposed to use tonight. And I want to invite you to do the same thing. Tonight, you and I are going to focus on hearing it. Welcome, Melly. Welcome, Joseph, Ashley, Amber. Welcome, Bev. Welcome, Steve. Welcome, Joe. Welcome, Michael. Amber, that's great to hear that you've been listening to me for the past 2 hours. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that so much. Hello, Linda. Hello, Iva. Hello, Stella. Hula. Hello, Casey. Valletta. Glad to have you here. Cheryl. Kathy. Yeah, Kathy, I want to hear what it says. So we're going to jump into the Course of Love. And in the Course of Love, we are going to be on page 176. 176 in A Course of Love. This is A Course of Love. And we're going to be on page 176. In chapter 28. On page 176. Now don't forget, we're here together live. I'm right here in real time with you. So don't forget to communicate with each other, to share this video with other people right now. Comment. We want to communicate with each other. We're mighty companions. And we want to take advantage of this opportunity that we have to be together with people who have the exact same goals that we have, that are moving in the same direction that we're moving in. This section is called Bearing Witness. It's on page 177, chapter 28, in A Course of Love. And the emphasis tonight is going to really be about hearing what it's saying and finding out what's the main takeaway in every paragraph. So our goal is going to be to hear the main takeaway to whatever the paragraph is saying. I'm teaching myself as well as you, whether the universe or spirit is teaching us. And so you're going to hear me call out my own name, Raj, because you teach best what you most need to learn. And in chapter 28, paragraph 1, if you got the book, A Course of Love. If not, just feel free to just listen to my voice, focus in on what it's saying. Just let yourself relax and hear it to get centered. It says, we must speak about bearing witness to what you have learned. As this course bears witness to the truth, thus must your lives bear witness. Lest to this be distorted, what bearing witness means, so that it's not distorted, it must be discussed. So tonight, in this particular Course of Love gathering, we're going to talk about bearing witness and what it means to bear witness to the truth. The Course of Love bears witness to the truth. The first thing to recognize is that this is not a contest. This is not a contest. This is not a contest. Bearing witness has become a spectator sport. And bearing witness wasn't meant to be a spectator sport. What does it mean when I say that bearing witness is a spectator sport? It means that I'm looking for someone to validate. I'm looking for someone to bear witness to what I believe is true. It's not meant that bearing witness is to be a spectator sport. So how then, you might ask, is the truth brought to those still living in illusion? How do you bring the truth to those people who are still completely asleep? How do you bring the truth to people who still believe that they are separate? How do you bring the truth to people who still believe that they are bodies? To people who believe that what we are studying is insane and crazy? How do you bring the truth to people who are in anger and pain and upset? How do you bring the truth to your friends and your relatives, your co-workers, possibly, your partner, if they're in a different way of thinking and living? So it says, how then, you might ask, is the truth brought to those still living in illusion? An illusion is false. It's false ideas. An illusion is a false idea. Well, it says in paragraph 3 in chapter 28, because inner knowing is both individual, so inner knowing is something that I know from within myself, and the truth teaches that to know means to be absolutely certain. The Course in Miracles teaches that to know, that knowledge, another term for knowledge is absolute certainty. That you have knowledge when you have absolute certainty. So your inner knowing, my inner knowing has got to be as an individual, but also inner knowing is collective. So inner knowing is personal, and inner knowing is universal. And this is the source of all proof. And so the Course of Love says, you believe that coming together to share common testimony validates the proof of inner and collective knowing. Like, there's a part of me that believes by us coming together to share our common testimonies about the truth, that somehow that validates the proof that I have inner knowing. So there's a part of me that believes that by meeting with you and gathering with you, even though that does serve a wonderful purpose, there's a part of me that believes that coming together to share a common testimony, coming together to share a common truth, that somehow is going to validate the proof of inner knowing and collective knowing. What does that mean? It means that you think that, and when I say you, I'm just saying you because that's what the Course of Love is saying. But it says you think shared beliefs, a mass. You think through having shared beliefs, like a congregation around a pulpit, we think and even believe in a theory of mass that purports that when a certain magnitude of belief occurs, evolutionary steps are brought about. This, however, is not about evolutionary steps. So there's been a part of us that's been taught to believe that when a group of us come together sharing our beliefs, that this is true bearing witness. And we've also been taught in some books, like for instance the 100 Monkey Theory, that when so many of us get this, then there's going to be a certain magnitude of belief that affects all of us. So we've been taught that if enough of us believe this, then one day everybody's going to automatically believe it. And there's also a part of me that believes that if I'm with a group of people, or if I'm at a church, or if I'm at some large gathering that I'm with a lot of people that share my belief, that this is bearing witness, that's what bearing witness means. That bearing witness means all of us coming together sharing a common belief. So A Course of Love is saying that is a misperception of what bearing witness means. The opening song is by John Christmas. If you would like to hear more of his music, go to johnchristmas.com. Absolute certainty. That's the same, Kathy. Absolute certainty is the same as saying that we are not separate. Okay, I will keep working to really feel that because I don't always get that. You know, Kathy, one of the coolest things that I've come to realize is that even if I don't get it, that doesn't stop it from being true. So you and I are joined. Nothing's going to stop that. You and I are one. You and I share the same self. You and I are love. And you know what? That's true whether I believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying whether I believe I'm a man or not at the level of the world, whether I'm a man or not, whether I think I'm a man or not, does that change the fact that I'm a man? So what I've learned over the years is that we can really relax and take a lot of pressure off ourselves if we were to really understand that our understanding is a necessarily a very powerful contribution to the truth. So I just want you to know that we are not separate and that you won't be left behind no matter what you believe and what you think. One of the best analogies that I like to use is the analogy of when you get on a roller coaster. Let's say you go to an amusement park and you get on a roller coaster and you got a lot of people on the roller coaster. Some people are on the roller coaster and they're laughing and screaming in joy and excitement. And some people are on the roller coaster and they're completely terrified and completely afraid. But guess what? The person that's terrified and the person that's happy are both going to reach the end of the ride right back where they started. So the person that's screaming and afraid is going to end up right back where they started, just like the person that's happy on the roller coaster is going to also end up in the exact same place. So the only difference is how each one of them enjoyed the ride. So when you are studying truth material like we're studying, it's just trying to get us to enjoy the ride. It's trying to give us ways of looking at things so that we can enjoy our ride on the truth roller coaster. But guess what? Even if you're terrified, guilty, afraid, angry, think you hate everybody, you still are going to end up right back where you started, in love and in God. That's one of the things that's so cool, is that there's nothing you can do to change eternal love. There's not anything you can do to stop you from ending up back in the love that created you. So we will all be a lot more patient if we are more certain of the outcome. So if I get on a roller coaster, I can be patient about the ride because I know it's going to bring me back to the place that I began. So don't worry about it. There's no way you can lose. There's no way that you can end up not being perfectly happy and perfectly joyful. Don't buy into anything that your physical eyes tell you or your thoughts tell you to the contrary. God cannot fail. That which is guiding us cannot fail. So it's trying to make us aware tonight of a new way of looking at the term bearing witness. What we're talking about is not about evolutionary steps. It's not about a process intent upon bringing the collective to a fever pitch of belief through common testimony. That's not our goal. So it's not about trying to bring everybody to a fever pitch of belief. I am not doing this gathering. I'm not a teacher of love. I'm not a teacher of God so that I can try to whip everybody that's watching this into a frenzy. Through us having just a common testimony that we all agree and believe in what we are thinking and talking about. Do you know that there's another meaning to bearing witness? So what is it that we've heard so far that could really be a great takeaway, that could really benefit us? Well, the first thing that it took a lot of pressure off of me. If it's not really about me trying to feel like I got to always have a lot of people around me that believe the same thing so I can show them what I believe as bearing witness. If it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with always being gathering with a lot of people that believe the same things so that you can validate and reinforce each other, there's another level. Those things are wonderful, but there's another level of bearing witness that the course of love is talking about tonight. So, let's see. Don't forget, you can ask questions with, Mighty Companion. You can ask questions. You can make comments. You can share your big aha that you're hearing out of what we're talking about. So, chapter 28, paragraph 4 says, trust and bearing witness goes together, as the validation sought through bearing witness is a symptom of distrust. Okay, that's deep. What is the symptom of distrust? Needing validation through bearing witness. The fact that I feel like I have to have validation outside of me, bearing witness, is really a symptom of distrust. I'm not really trusting it, so I need somebody to prove to me that it's true. I don't really trust it, so therefore I need some type of validation, someone to bear witness outside of me to show me that it's true. That needing to have a witness outside of me to bear witness to what I believe is actually a symptom of distrust, is what the Course of Love has just said. It says, few are chosen to be prophets. There are not a lot of people that are chosen to be prophets. And the plethora of testimony taking place is brought about by innocence more than by wisdom. It's not so much that we have a lot of wisdom yet, as it is we are beginning to let go of our anger, guilt, and grievances and separation. Right now, what we're really focusing on is our innocence, more than we're focusing in on the fact that we are so wise. This sharing of personal testimony has reached its zenith. And so at this stage of your spiritual development, this need to be sharing personal testimony about the truth, or trying to get validation from anybody else about the truth. You're needing somebody to personally witness to you and believe what you say and hear what you're saying about the truth. It's reached its greatest height. So the Course of Love says it will no longer be as welcomed, and at this stage on your spiritual path, needing to have personal testimony, needing to have personal testimony, and sharing personal testimony, and having other people share personal testimony is no longer going to be welcomed and appreciated as much as it was in the past. So what I'm hearing the Course of Love say is that we're reaching another stage in our learning process tonight, that we're going to a brand new stage in our spiritual awareness tonight. And this brand new stage does not require so much sharing of personal testimony, doesn't require so much you're trying to share what you believe and get anybody else to understand the truth that you understand. That's right, Casey. God cannot fail, and that's the key. One of the things that I realize, again, is that my biggest problem is my sense of separation from God. My only problem is I think I'm separate from that which created me. If I really knew I was connected to the greatest power of all, and the greatest love of all, and the greatest intelligence of all, and I was it, in it, connected to it, enveloped by it, then I would not need to prove anything. I would not worry about anything. I wouldn't have any worries. I wouldn't have any concerns. I would be trusting that everything is in divine order and is moving the way that it should. I wouldn't even feel a need to necessarily talk to anybody about what I believe, or even really worry about whether I have anybody that I can talk to about what I believe. So it says, this sharing of personal testimony has reached its zenith and will no longer be as welcomed or appreciated. So even were the intent of this course to bring testimony together in such a way as to cause an evolutionary step, it wouldn't work even if this intent in this course of love was to bring testimony together in such a way as to cause an evolutionary step, it would not work. Even were the intent of this course to bring testimony together in such a way as to cause an evolutionary step, it wouldn't work. And so we must concentrate on wisdom. So instead of concentrating on testimony, the focus, according to the course of love right now, is that our focus should be on the wisdom of the heart. Our focus should be on focusing on the wisdom of the heart. Focusing on the wisdom of the heart. We are not going to focus so much on, I'm not going to focus so much on whether or not I have a lot of people to talk about my belief with, or whether or not there are a lot of people who will witness back to me the things that I believe. What the focus is to be on now, at this stage in my evolutionary growth, is on the wisdom of the heart. So we're going to concentrate on wisdom. Our focus is going to be on concentrating on having wisdom. It's not about getting other people to agree with us. It's not about getting other people to witness back to us. What we are doing at this stage of our spiritual development is we're going to focus on the wisdom of the heart. See if there's anything else that anyone's saying that they want me to respond to. Thank you, Ava. I love that you appreciated that roller coaster analogy. That roller coaster analogy makes a lot of sense to me. It's what I'm studying is trying to help me interpret the ride that I'm on in such a way that I can give myself peace on this ride, because there's no doubt that this ride is going to end up where it began. Because all things begin in God, all things begin in love, and all things end and complete and return to love, return to God. And that's a fact. In chapter 28, in the course of love, paragraph 5, it says, there is a trust that goes beyond proof. There's 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 a trust that goes beyond proof. What does that mean, that there's a trust that goes beyond proof? It means that there's a trust that goes beyond the need for any witnessing at all. There's a trust that gets rid of my need to have anyone witness anything to me or me witness anything to anyone. There is a trust that is so strong that I believe in it, that I know it's true regardless of what I'm seeing with my physical eyes. That's sort of like, no matter how much fear or things to worry about or things that seem like they're coming from a place of attack in the world or fear in the world, I'm going to know. I'm going to come from a place that I know that I'm connected to love and I'm connected to source and that I'm whole and complete. So that no matter what I'm seeing in front of me, I don't necessarily need something to witness back to me outwardly what I know to be true. That's the trust of knowing. The trust of knowing is a knowing that is of the heart. There's 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 a knowing that holds a consistency. There's a knowing that is totally consistent. There's a knowing that holds a consistency and certainty. That's the dawn of innocence does not contain. There holds a consistency and a certainty that the dawn of innocence does not contain. You can begin to believe that you're innocent, but it doesn't mean that you have a total consistency and certainty when it comes to your knowledge of the truth. So you may be beginning to recognize that you are not guilty. You are totally innocent. You didn't do the things that you thought you'd done that wasn't very loving. And you're beginning to accept your sinlessness, but it doesn't mean that you have necessarily become totally consistent in your knowing yet. The dawn of innocence is but a recognition of the most common denominator of existence. As such, do you know that the dawn of innocence is a beginning only? Beginning to recognize that you're innocent is the very beginning of your awakening. Beginning to let go of your anger and your grievances and the past, and let go of your belief that you are separate. That's just the beginning. A true dawn that must, as the sun rises, give way to day and the brilliance and the clarity of the wisdom of which we speak. This daytime of your journey is approaching. The daytime of your journey is approaching. The daytime of your journey is approaching. Tell yourself, the daytime of my journey is approaching. The daytime of my journey is approaching. The daytime of my journey is approaching. It is the time for the sun to cut through the mist of the dawn. It is the middle of the journey. It is a time of teaching and a time of learning both. So it's kind of interesting that it says you're at the daytime of your journey, but at the same time you're in the middle of your journey. And to be in the middle of your journey, do you know what that means? To be in the middle of your journey is a time of teaching and a time of learning both. So do you know that what you're doing is experiencing a time of teaching and a time of learning? You're having a time of teaching and you're having a time of learning. And I'm having a feeling like I'll never be the same. There's a big, huge transformation going on inside of me right now. The analogy that I like to use is I feel like I've gone into another neighborhood of myself that I don't know my way around in. Are you feeling like you've gone into a brand new neighborhood of yourself that you don't know your way around in this new self yet? That's what I feel. And you're right, Sophia. Let me remember the new ideas, you know. And you're right, Kathy. It really feels like such the beginning that I also have a great feeling I will never be the same. I will not go back. I will not, Kathy says, I will not go back to deep guilt again. I hope so. No, you won't, because you're not doing this alone now. You're doing it with the Holy Spirit. To teach is to learn. And Sophia says she's weeping in gratitude. I know I've been feeling a lot of spontaneous emotion lately. I've had an experience of really just bursting in tears sometimes from the deep levels of feeling that are coming up within me. There's an animated movie out that was up for an Academy Award, and the name of it is Kubo and the Two Strings. Kubo, K-U-B-O, K-U-B-O. Kubo and the Two Strings. This was one of the most phenomenal movies that I've ever seen. It has so many messages of truth that's woven in it. And the climax of the movie, for me, was so powerful that even without expecting to do it, I just burst into tears. That's how moving it was. So if you're open-minded, watch this movie. If you got a ton of judgments about what it should look like or what's appropriate or what's not appropriate and all of that, then maybe you don't need to look at it. But those of you who are open-minded and can stick with it to the end, I guarantee you, if you're in tune with it, the payoff will blow your mind. It's Kubo and the Two Strings. So, right now it says you're in the middle of the journey. You're in a time of teaching and learning. You're in the time of planting, but you're also in the time of harvest. The time of harvest that comes before the time of rest. The time of harvest comes before the time of rest. You are now in the time of celebration that comes before the quiet and the settling of the dusk. So this is also celebration time. This is celebration time. This is celebration time. This is celebration time. So let's see what we have here. Right, Demola, check it out. Kubo and the 2 strings. Check it out tonight. Okay, good. Casey says, very spontaneous emotion earlier as my fear was there, but so silent as the knowing of love outshone the voice of fear. I thank you for saying that, Casey. Let me tell you something. Allow your feelings. Stop judging your fear. 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 So don't even look at your own fear from an egotistical perspective. That means stop trying to make your fear go away. Allow your fear to pass through you and leave. Stop trying to make your fear go away. Stop trying to judge yourself because you still have any kind of fear. Recognize your fear. Watch your fear. Let the fear come up. Let the fear pass through you without judging you or judging it. You want to recognize your fear. Recognizing your fear means that you are interpreting your fear correctly. And the way to interpret your fear correctly is to say, I am feeling fear. This fear is my call for God. This fear is a prayer. This fear is my request for love. The same emotion that I describe as fear, reinterpreted, is my request for love. So you would go, I'm feeling a deep request for love. I'm feeling a deep request for God. I'm feeling a deep call for help. But it's the emotion that I used to call fear. Allow it. The more you fight your emotions, the more you judge yourself for having emotions, the more you tell yourself you ought to be feeling great every single second or it means you're doing something wrong. All of those thoughts are just attacks upon yourself. They're just punishment on you. When you can allow yourself to feel all your feelings and not get upset about feeling the feelings that you feel and just let yourself feel them without judging them, then the feelings will change and they'll move into a more loving, peaceful place. I'll say it again, my mighty companion. Let go of this belief that you have that if you are on a spiritual path and you're doing it right, then you're going to feel completely peaceful and happy and centered all day long about whatever is happening. Eventually you will be that centered. But readiness is not mastery. Readiness is not, just because you're ready to be more loving or you're ready to be unafraid, does not mean that you have mastered it at all. So let yourself feel what you feel on the way to getting to the point that you are so centered within that you give yourself only peace. So in paragraph 7, chapter 28, it says, you would think of this as the time of work being done. It is the time of work being done, but without the drudgery of time spent. You would think of this as the time of work being done, and it is, but without the drudgery. We are moving to a level of consciousness where you're doing your spiritual work. You're doing the things that need to be done for the light and the healing of the world. You're doing the things that need to be done, but it's not going to be done in drudgery. We are going into a level of consciousness. We are going into a state of spiritual development, you and I, where we're letting go of drudgery. I want you to think about it. I want you to think about what I'm saying right now. I want you to think about it. There's work to be done, you're right, but without drudgery. There's work to be done, you're right, but without drudgery. Let go of the belief that you have to struggle. Let go of the belief that you have to struggle. Let go of the belief that you have to struggle. I let go of the belief that I have to struggle. I let go of the belief that I have to struggle. I let go of the belief that I have to struggle. I let go of the belief that I have to struggle. I let go of the belief that I have to struggle. I let go of the belief that I have to struggle. I let go of the belief that I have to struggle. I let go of the belief that I have to struggle. Happy work to do and no struggle. Happy work to do and no struggle. Hey CJ, it's good to see you coming my way. Hey CJ, it is cool to see you coming my way. It's your time to shine. It's your time to shine. Now what does it mean to shine? What does it mean to shine? It means it's time to be the light. It's time to be the light to those who live in darkness. Do you know that it's time to be the light to those who live in darkness? Do you know that that means it's a time to be the expression of love to those who live in fear? Those who live in fear, it's time for you to be the light for those who live in fear. It's not the same as me saying that you need to try to be a witness to everybody. The sun isn't trying to witness anything to us. The sun isn't trying to witness light. The sun isn't trying to get us to witness heat. The sun is just being the sun. And in the sun being what it is, we become aware of the light and everything that we need to know. So it's time for you to be yourself, is to be the light. To be yourself is to be the love. It is a time of great humility. And humility is not self-debasement. Being humble is not going, oh, me, I don't really deserve that. Being humble is not self-debasement. Using humility does not mean putting yourself down. Being in great humility means you are wearing the face of Christ for all to see. That means that you are wearing the face of love for all to see. It means that you are wearing the face of joy for all to see. It means that you are wearing the face of joy for all to see. That's what it means to wear the face of Christ. Do you know that when you're wearing the face of Christ, you're expressing a loving energy, a loving joy? That's the face of Christ. Looking at your smiling face is looking at the face of Christ. I say, looking at your smiling face is looking at the face of Christ. Looking at my smiling face is looking at the face of Christ. Because when we are wearing the face of love, when we are facing each other with the face of love, that's where you gain wisdom. And that's how you share wisdom. To be joyful in your presence, to be happy to be here with you. That's me wearing the face of Christ. And if I have enough wisdom to be grateful and appreciative and feeling connected to you and feeling connected to the source, then I truly am gaining wisdom. I truly am sharing wisdom. So let's see what we have here. Casey says, thank you for clarifying how to truly be the light, being your true self, commonly known to be a witness. And Victoria says, so over being in darkness that I am willing to be led to the light. And Joanne says she loves my shirt and that I'm a super explainer. Yeah, I love color. I love color. And I love to look at things to keep me awake. So wisdom is that another word for grateful. Yes. Anybody that's truly grateful, anybody that's truly appreciative, that's a wise person. You should always substitute the thought of gratitude for any thought that's bringing you fear or upset. Substitute a thought of gratitude whenever you're feeling fear or upset. Philia says, the miracle is an expression of an inner awareness of Christ, which is love and the acceptance of atonement, which is a direct quote from A Course in Miracles. You're exactly right. I love it. 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 I love it when we share these ideas, even though when we really, really get our act together, we'll be glad to share these ideas with each other, but it absolutely will not matter to us whether or not we have anybody else around us that's saying this truth to us, because we'll have such a certainty, we'll have such a knowing that we'll be rooted in our loving truth no matter what. So it would be great and it's wonderful to have you to share with, and it would also be just as wonderful if you weren't here to share with, because I would be centered in the truth in myself and you would be centered in the truth in yourself. But I'm so glad that you come to Facebook Live and that you're here with me this evening and that we're sharing this together. If you feel the same way, then let's send out some hearts right now, some hearts of love and appreciation to each other right now. Would you do that? Would you do a symbolic gesture to show everyone else that's online that you want them to give and receive love, and that you are grateful and that you are appreciative that we have this time together right now? That's right. I see the hearts coming. That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. You all are so friggin' cool. I'm so glad I know other parts of myself like you. I'm so glad that you're with me. I'm so glad that we have each other. I totally appreciate you. I totally appreciate you. You all are freaking awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the hearts of love with me and with yourself, because we are one self. We are one self united with our Creator. We are limitless in power and we are limitless in peace. We are unlimited in power. We are unlimited in peace. We are unlimited in love. So, Demola says, I'm so glad that I know you, brother. I'm glad I know you too, Demola. It's an honor to be in the presence of you. My brother, it is totally an honor for me to be in the presence of you. It's getting deeper and deeper. That's what Sophia says. And Joanne says, namaste. And CJ says, if this resonates, please remember to share, comment, react, invite friends, share these videos. Let's bring more of our brothers and sisters to join us. Okay, let's go further now. Chapter 28, paragraph 9. Do you not see that any attempt to turn bearing witness into a convincing argument from your point of view? Don't you see that any attempt to turn bearing witness into a convincing argument for your point of view, no matter what that point of view may be, makes what you have come to know pointless? I'll say it again. Whenever you try to argue for your point of view, it makes what you know pointless. Because what you know, Raj, is that you don't have to defend your points of view. That a conscious being does not defend their points of view. A conscious being would never feel like they had to try to convince anybody else of their point of view or the rightness of their point of view. So a being of knowledge would know that just in your attempt to convince and make somebody believe what you want them to believe, it makes what you know pointless. You think that when you are enlightened enough to know, you are also enlightened enough to know what to do with what you know. You think that when you are enlightened enough to know, you are also enlightened enough to know what to do with what you know. You think that when you are enlightened enough to know, you are also enlightened enough to know what to do with what you know. You think that when you finally know, that you will know what to do with what you know. You think that when you're finally enlightened and that you finally know, that you're also going to be enlightened enough to know what to do with what you know. While you continue to think of a separation in terms of doing and of knowing, it's obvious this can't be the case. So what does that mean? It means as the dawn is unrestrained in its bursting forth, so has been your time of innocence. Not so the approach of day as the sun slowly rises and as it slowly sets. In other words, what we're being told is that this is a time of being both guided and, Earl, hear this, this is also a time of being restrained. This is a time of being guided, and this is a time of having some restraint. This is a time in your spiritual development of being guided, but it's also a time in your spiritual development of being restrained. This is a time of being guided and restrained. This is a time of being guided by God, the Holy Spirit, your higher power, and this is a time of being restrained. What does that mean, that this is a time of being guided and this is a time of being restrained, Raj? It means this is a time of realizing that you can know without knowing what to do. You can know without knowing what to do. You can know the truth without knowing what to do. You can know the truth without knowing what to do. And this isn't a mistake. So there is a stage in spiritual awakening that you are in right now, that you are receiving knowledge. You are receiving truth. But that doesn't necessarily mean you'll know what to do right now. So that's why it's a time of being guided, but it's also a time of being restrained. Because you are beginning to know, but it doesn't mean you're at the point that you know what to do. You may be coming into more awareness of the truth, but it doesn't mean you know what to do. So, that's right, Kathy. As your light shines, expands, you are being guided, and you will be restrained, and you will be restrained, and there will be quiet whispers of love surrounding you. Just take time and feel it, okay? So I'll say that to myself and to you again. This is a time of being guided, and this is a time of having some restraint. Do not go out trying to convince everybody of your point of view and trying to convince everybody of the truth that you know or that you think you know. This is a time of allowing yourself to be guided. This is also a time of using some restraint. You can know without knowing what to do. You can know without knowing what to do. Many have reached this stage that you're at right now. Many have reached this stage, not knowing what to do with what they know. So one of the stages, Raj, of spiritual development is that you do not know what to do with what you know. One of the stages of spiritual awareness is going through a stage where you just don't know what to do with what you've learned. You just don't know what to do with what you know. There's a stage in spiritual awareness where you are knowing and you're beginning to know, but you don't know what to do with what you know. Don't freak out about it. Don't sweat it. Don't put yourself through a lot of analyzation and discomfort, because there is a stage in spiritual awareness where you don't know what to do with what you know. So some people, because they don't know what to do with what they know, they doubt that they know. Because you don't know what to do with what you know, there may be a part of you that says that you must not really know. Why? Because if you really know, then you ought to know what to do with what you know. In the stage that you are in, you're in the stage of not knowing what to do with what you know. So, this is a human response to a knowing that is not human in origin. See, when you're in your human mind, Raj, when you're in your human mind, mighty companion, then you, because you don't know what to do with what you know, you think something is wrong, and you doubt that you really know what you say you know, because you don't know what to do with it. That's what happens with the human mind. It thinks it needs to know exactly what to do with what it knows. Knowing is alien to you. True knowing is foreign to you. True knowing is foreign, alien to you. That's why you seek validation. Why is it that people seek validation? Because they don't have knowledge. They don't have absolute certainty. And when a person doesn't have absolute certainty, they seek validation. If I'm not certain that I am loved, if I'm not certain that I'm lovable, if I'm not certain that I'm loving, then I seek a relationship to validate that I am loved. I seek a relationship to validate that I am lovable. I seek a relationship to validate that I am loving. If I do not have knowledge, and true knowledge at this stage is still alien to you according to a course of love. Because you might not be aware of it, but each validation is seen and felt as a reward. I think the reward that I deserve for focusing on my spiritual path and beginning to have some level of spiritual awakening, the reward for that is I'm going to get validation. Validation is going to be my reward. It's my prize. It's my confirmation that I believe allows my conviction to grow. So we might want, would you be willing to consider that there's a part of the mind that sees validation as a reward, as a prize, that sees validation as a confirmation that allows your conviction and your belief to grow. Because you believe it, this is at first quite true. In the beginning, it's quite true that you're getting validation and kind of seeing it as a reward does allow your belief and your conviction in the truth to grow. At first, that's quite true. But that's the stage that you're leaving. You are leaving the stage where you see validation of your ideas as being so important to your conviction that your ideas are true. So if you're in a world where it looks like most of the people are not consciously reflecting your truth back to you, your belief back to you, the things that you see as true back to you, and it looks like you're surrounded by people who are asleep or who are in the world believing something totally different from what you believe, that's because you are in the stage of spiritual awakening, that is the stage of learning how to feel centered and knowing in your truth, even if you're not getting external validation. You're going through the stage of having conviction in the truth, even if it doesn't look like you have people validating it back to you, or the world validating it back to you, or situations or circumstances validating your beliefs back to you. If it looks like right now you're not really surrounded by very many people who are sharing this truth with you, who are giving the truth to you, it's because you are in a stage of spiritual awakening where you are learning how to let go of the need for external validation. It says, but now it is no longer the time to rely on conviction that comes from the witnesses you find along your way. Now it is no longer the time, it's not the time anymore to rely on the conviction that you get from finding and connecting with witnesses on your path. Having validation and having witnesses served a limited purpose. It was a valid stage in your spiritual development to be surrounded by people who gave you a lot of validation, reflected your beliefs back to you, shared your beliefs with you, talked to you about your beliefs. But there is a stage in spiritual awakening where you learn or come into the awareness of how to stick to your convictions, believe and know the truth, and live from that truth, even if it looks like there's nobody around you that's into it. That means that now is the time to step beyond the validations that even your teachers can give you. You got to step beyond needing the validation of your teacher, your spiritual teacher, or your spiritual teachers. You also don't need your teacher's validation anymore. You're learning how to not need your teacher to validate you anymore. When you don't take this step, then there's lots of gathering of witnesses, but what they bear witness to stops short of what they want to see. So if you still are focused on needing external validation, then it's going to keep you from going to the next level of perception. There's nothing wrong with wanting validation. There's nothing wrong with having people around you who are validating and sharing your beliefs. That was a necessary stage. Some of you may still be in that stage. One of the ways you can tell that you're still in the stage that you need a lot of external validation is that you're feeling tons of resistance right now to the idea that you no longer need validation from anybody around you, and you no longer need validation from your spiritual teachers or teachers. So if that's creating a lot of resistance right now, you may still be at the stage where you are needing a lot of external validation, and you're still innocent if that is the case. now we're going to do paragraph 28 chapter 28, paragraph 11. So let me look and see what we have. Kathy says that she's going to step beyond validation now. Kathy, I'm going to step beyond validation with you. CJ says, we truly are ready to release the illusion when we no longer need validation. And CJ said something that was great, validation about our scripts. And Sophia says, I would let them teach me of our equality. I do not know more. We have come together to heal each other, not for me to judge them as unworthy. That is so true. And Cheryl says, living without any external validation is a stage. And Sophia says, Sophia's faithfulness is obvious today. They seem to reflect sleep because I am in this stage of learning how to let go of the need for external validation. And Joanne says the same thing. I need to let go of needing external validation. Welcome, Shayna. All right, let's see. This resonates with me, that this timing is not a coincidence. I'm amazed by this journey. And Kathy says, Holy Spirit, thank you, Holy Spirit. Let me relax and trust. It is not difficult. Another comment is, it's okay to not know what to do with what you know. We are okay. Don't freak out. Doing less, being more. And Casey says, this is puzzling to me. And I'll say it again, Casey. Let go of your need to think you need to know what to do with what you know. Give yourself permission not to know, and put your focus on concentrating on the wisdom of the heart that we are receiving right now, which would take the form of you saying, it's okay for me to be puzzled. It's okay for me to not know, because there's one with me who is not puzzled, and there's one with me who is clear about the direction of my experience. And that part of me is going to be in charge. Okay. On paragraph 11, chapter 28, it says, witnesses are for the mind, and really witnesses fall short of devotion. Witnesses are for the mind. So witnesses, that's a great stage to go through. But witnesses actually fall short of devotion. I mean, if you really are devoted, you don't need anybody to validate that. If you're really devoted, it doesn't matter if anybody else is devoted or not. If you are really into this, it really doesn't matter that you even prove it to anybody. So witnessing really falls short of full devotion, even though it's a necessary stage. So it says in paragraph 11, witnesses are for the mind and fall short of devotion. Witnesses are for the mind and fall short of devotion. Devotion is the natural response of those who know and weary not of what to do. I'll say it again. Devotion, when you're truly deep in devotion, you don't worry about what to do. Being in deep devotion is the natural response of those who know and don't worry about what to do. One of the ways that you can know if you know is that you no longer worry about what to do. One of the ways in which you know that you are knowing you are devoted and not worrying about what to do. Don't you see what it says in the next sentence? It says, this is a difficult stage. This is a difficult stage. This is a difficult stage as you feel obligated because you think you're getting in touch with God and the truth. And you're feeling like you should be inspired to act Right now you feel like you need to do something because of what you're realizing and what you're beginning to know. Yet at the same time, you know you're going to be awkward in your actions. You feel like you need to do something. You feel obligated, but you're going to be awkward in your actions. Awkward in your actions. You're going to be very awkward in your actions. We have spoken before of the desire to create, that may arise. The desire to create may come up. Your desire to create may come up. You may feel your desire to create. As you begin to enter this stage of your journey, Raj, your desire to create is going to come up because you feel that you've learned a lot or you've come to realize a lot, and you feel obligated to do something, and you feel obligated to act, and yet you're always awkward in your actions because you haven't really gotten to that level where you truly follow guidance and know how to practice restraint. There's a part of you that still thinks you need to know and understand everything, but there is a stage where you begin to know, but you don't know what to do with what you know. There is a stage where you begin to know, but don't know what to do with what you know. That's where you are. That's where you are. That's where you are. That's where you are. You're in the stage of getting beyond the need to have validation. You're in the stage where you are beginning to know, but you don't know what to do with what you know. You're in the stage of feeling like you should be acting, even though your actions are probably going to be very awkward. You are probably also feeling this deep desire to create, because you are entering the stage of your journey where you feel all of the things that I've just described. And do you know that this feeling is often compounded by a feeling of wondering what is next? You may also be feeling a deeper, I wonder what's going to happen next. 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 You may also be in this stage where you are going, I wonder what's going to happen next. I wonder what's going to happen to me next. I wonder what's going to happen to me next. I feel a desire to create. I also feel obligated. I feel inspired. I've been learning. I've got to do something right now. I got to do something right now. Even though I don't know what to do with what I know, I feel I got to do something right now. Even though it will probably be extraordinarily awkward, whatever it is that I do. And all of these feelings are compounded by the feeling that I want to know what's going to happen to me next. I wonder what's going to happen to us next. This is often compounded by a feeling of wondering what is next as you wait in anticipation. You're waiting in anticipation. Are you waiting? Are you waiting in anticipation? Are you waiting? Are you waiting in anticipation? Are you waiting? Are you waiting in anticipation for a calling? Are you waiting for some sort of a calling of some kind because you're so certain that you're so certain that there's this challenge to action that's coming up right now? So are you waiting for some kind of a calling because you know that you've got this challenge of some type of action? Are you in anticipation because you're waiting for some type of necessary form of how you're going to express yourself? Are you in anticipation? Are you waiting for a calling? Are you waiting for what's going to happen next? the challenge of action? Are you waiting to be shown what you're supposed to be using, what you have come to know? Again, mighty companion, as when you feel the need to convince others of your belief, when I feel the need to convince others of my beliefs, when I feel the need to convince someone of my beliefs, when you feel the need to convince others of your belief, when you feel the need to convince others of your belief, when you feel the need to give form to what is beyond form, that misses the point of what you have gained. When you're always focusing on your need to convince others of your belief, and you're full of this need to give form of what's really beyond form, when you're trying to give form to something that is beyond form, you are missing the point of what you have gained. You're missing the point when what? You're missing the point when you feel the need to convince others of your beliefs. When you feel the need to convince others of what you believe, when you feel that need at this stage to give form to what is beyond form, you're missing the point of what you've gained. So you may be asking now, are you saying to do nothing? It may be coming up in your mind, is the course of love telling me to do nothing? Is the course of love telling me to do nothing? And at the thought of you doing nothing, you might become aghast. You may even feel bitterly disappointed. Again, as in the beginning, you are seeking a task to accomplish. You keep seeking a task to accomplish because you're forgetting that you are already accomplished. You are already accomplished. You are already remembering who you really are. So when you think there's so much to say, when one thinks there is so much to say, one forgets to listen. When you think there's so much for you to say, you forget to listen. When you think there's so much to say, you forget to listen. When you think there's so much to say, you forget to listen. When you think there's so much for you to say, you forget to listen. When you think there's so much for you to say, you forget to listen, Raj. When you think that there's so much for you to say, you forget to listen. So be guided in your going out. 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 Be restrained in what you say. Be restrained in what you say. Be restrained right now in this stage. Be restrained in what you say. Also, be attentive in your listening. Be attentive right now. Be attentive. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention right now. Pay attention. Are you paying attention? Or are you thinking of what you should say? Are you paying attention? Or are you thinking about what's next and what's the next action that you need to take? Pay attention. Be attentive in your listening. Where you are is where you are supposed to be. Where you are is where you are supposed to be. You are where you are supposed to be right now. You are where you are supposed to be right now. You are where you are supposed to be right now. Do you know that you are where you are supposed to be? The path to follow to all changes will be shown to you if you will but be attentive. The path to follow to all the changes you need to make will be shown to you if you just pay attention. The path that you are to follow now will be shown to you. If you will pay attention, the path to follow to all changes will be shown to you. If you follow the way that's being shown to you, Raj, if you follow the way that's being shown to you, my mighty companion, then all your uncertainty will end. All your doubt will end. All your confusion will end. If you follow the way that is shown to you right now, all uncertainty will end. All your doubt will end if you follow in the way that's being shown to you by a course of love. Uncertainty is where difficulty lies. In your doubt is where your difficulty lies. Certainty and ease as surely go together. Certainty goes with ease. Ease goes with certainty. Ease goes with certainty. Ease goes with certainty. There are no more decisions for you to make. Listen to me. There are no more decisions for you to make. There are no more decisions for you to make. There are no more decisions for you to make. There are no more decisions for you to make. There is only a call. There is only a call for a dedicated and devoted will. I'm calling you to have a very dedicated and devoted will. Have a very dedicated and devoted mind. Have a very dedicated and devoted mind. Have a very dedicated and devoted will. So what is a dedicated and devoted will? A dedicated and devoted will is a will that's dedicated to the present moment. Be dedicated to the present moment. Be dedicated to right now. 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 Be dedicated to those who are sent to you. And I did say those who are sent to you. Be dedicated to those who are sent to you. Be dedicated to the present moment. Be dedicated to how you are guided to respond to those who are sent to you. Be dedicated to the present moment. Be dedicated to those who are sent to you. Be dedicated to how you are guided to respond to those who are sent to you. Be dedicated. Be dedicated. Be dedicated to the way that you are guided to how you should respond to the people that are sent to you. Be dedicated to hearing how you are being guided to respond to the people that are sent to you. One person will be sent to you that's going to be a teacher, and then maybe another person is going to be sent to you that is a student. You will be sent teachers, and you will be sent students. You will be sent teachers, and you will be sent students. But the difference, do you know that the difference between the teacher and the student that's being sent to you will be clear? You'll know the difference between the teacher and the student that's been sent to you. That difference will be clear if you listen to your heart. The difference will be clear. If you listen to your heart, the difference will be clear. If you listen to your heart, the difference between who's the teacher and who's the student will be clear. If you listen to your heart, you'll know the difference between your teacher and your student. You will know the difference if you listen with your heart. Listen with your heart, 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 listen with your heart. That was totally and completely awesome. And I have a wrap-up that I'm going to do for this tonight that's going to be very short. And I really want to thank you so much for joining me on Facebook Live for the Course of Love. And I would love it and appreciate it deeply if you felt moved by the Holy Spirit to share a financial expression of appreciation to support me in my teaching ministry. I know that you will be a blessing in my life and you are a blessing in my life, however you express yourself. But thank you from the bottom of my heart as a full-time teacher. And I'm available. I'm available to work with you on a one-on-one. I have over 35 years experience of working with New Thought, and I would like to be of great helpfulness to you. And if you're open to it, I also use my knowledge of astrology and numerology as a tool for the divine to communicate with you about the divine plan for your life. And I call these clarity sessions. So go to my website, earlpurdy.com. I have hundreds of videos and audios on my website that you can listen to at no set charge. And I love you so much. And if you want to find out more about the Course of Love, go to www.acourseoflove.org. JohnChristmas.com is where you go for the music. And you are such a blessing. So are there any takeaways that you want to share before I finish this up right quick? I hope I pronounced your name right. Dreaded. It says, dedicated to the present moment, dedicated to listening to all who are sent to me, teachers and students, dedicated to listening to my heart. Thanks to you, Earl. Love to you and all. And Victoria says she's going to listen with her heart. And Deanna says, love you, Raj. I love you, Deanna. Thank you. Thank you so much. Don't forget that I've got upcoming classes. 1 o'clock Mountain Time on Sundays. There's a Course in Miracles on Facebook Live. Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time is The Way of Mastery on Facebook Live. And also on Thursday nights, A Course of Love, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Facebook Live. And I also have tons of classes on YouTube. Let's see. What else we got here? The heart. Kathy says, the heart is the director. The heart is the director of this show. All the world's a stage. Be dedicated to right now and to those sent to you. Raj and Mighty Companions, thanks for being dedicated to me. That's beautiful. Victoria says, I'm just wondering what Source has in store for me and excited. I am entitled to miracles. I am where I am supposed to be, paying attention to Earl. I love it. I love it. Kathy says the same thing. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So here's the last points that I'd like to share with you. Cheryl says, I need do nothing. I need do nothing. So listen to me right now. Let yourself hear these instructions. Be guided in your going out. Be guided in your going out. Be guided. Be guided. Be guided. Be guided, be guided. When you're thinking there is much for you to say, when there is so much to say, one forgets to listen. When you think there is so much to say, you forget to listen. When you think there's so much for you to say, you forget to listen. When you think there is so much for you to say, you forget to listen. Don't forget that you are in a stage that you don't know what to do with what you know. You're in a stage where you don't know what to do with what you know. You're also in a stage that you don't need validation and witnesses. You're in a stage where you don't need validation and witnesses. That's the stage that some of you are in that's listening tonight, and you know you're in that stage because you feel relieved. You feel relieved about not knowing what to do right now. You accept what I'm saying. So, listen to this. Be restrained in what you say. 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 Be attentive, attentive in your listening. 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 Where you are is where you are supposed to be. Where you are is where you are supposed to be. Where you are is where you are supposed to be. Where I am is where I am supposed to be. Where I am is where I am supposed to be. Where you are is where you are supposed to be. Go to my website and sign up for my contact list, because I'm going to be doing some very private, personal online classes. You want to be notified. You want to know what's going on. Be attentive in your listening. Where you are is where you are supposed to be. Where you are is where you are supposed to be. Follow the way that is shown to you. Just be willing to follow the way that is being shown to you. Follow the way that is shown to you. Follow the way that's being shown to you. That's why you need to get the course of love. If you don't have the course of love, if you don't have the course of love, if you're not studying the course of love, then how can you really honestly say you want what the course of love has to offer, and you're not willing to do what it takes to have it? Because within the course itself is everything you need to know about how to do what it's saying. If you want to get the results, you have to use the means to receive the results. Things become easier as you become more certain. It's in uncertainty that the difficulty lies. There are no more decisions for you to make. Listen now. There are no more decisions for you to make. What do I mean by that? It's already laid out for you. It's laid out in the course of love. It's laid out in the great wisdom text. All you have to do is do what you're shown. There is a call for you to have a very dedicated and devoted will. You want your will to be dedicated to the present moment. Dedicate yourself to the present moment. Dedicate yourself to those who are sent to you. Dedicate yourself to those who are sent to you. I'm dedicated to you. I'm dedicated to you. I'm dedicated to you. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in with the course of love tonight. You all are awesome. I love you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
I need not believe the ideas. I need not
Believe the ideas.